Can you spot a killer? Can any of us identify warning signs that would prevent a mass shooting? These are questions being asked now more than ever in light of recent events. And in trying to answer these important, critical, and life-saving questions, sometimes we have to look into the past. After the fact, we learn a lot about the gunmen in mass shootings. Many times it reveals a dark past with a series of red flags, hindsight. But rarely do we hear from a doctor assigned to treat the person who opened fire. Dr. Len Fenton is the only psychiatrist in the U.S. in our history to be publicly revealed as the doctor of a mass shooter. And now she's writing about it in her new book, Aurora, the psychiatrist who treated the movie theater killer, tells her story. Tonight, she is sharing that story for the first time 10 years after James Holmes opened fire inside of a crowded movie theater in Aurora. 12 people died that night. 70 others were injured. Holmes is now behind bars, and he will spend the rest of his life there. He will die there. Dr. Len Fenton is joining us live tonight. Doctor, we appreciate your time. I read some of the book, and at the start, it caught my attention. You dedicated the book to the victims and survivors of James Holmes' unspeakable atrocities, for their courage and most especially their voice. What do you want to say now that you've never been able to say before?
Well, it was tough, especially the first 3 years between the shooting and the actual trial, because all of us involved in the trial were under a gag order. So while to some degree I became kind of a scapegoat, people thinking perhaps I could have prevented this somehow, nor the university that employs me could defend me and, say actually the length that I had gone to. So one of the things is just to explain behind the scenes what it was like treating this to-be killer, and also hopefully to educate the public a bit on things like what it takes to lock somebody up on a mental health hold, and just some other aspects that we see time and again in these mass shootings, hoping that this huge amount of evidence that we've amassed in the Holmes case can help people understand these cases more so we can try to prevent them.
You say that psychopaths are master manipulators. You said it in a talk in front of some students years ago. Do you feel now that James Holmes was able to manipulate you as his doctor?
Unfortunately, yes. I know that he was lying while I was seeing him, because the month of May, and I last saw him on May 31st, he was actually amassing weapons and ammo, and he was going to the shooting range and shooting up human figures, all the while denying, that he actually had plans to kill anyone.
You have said that the hair on your arms would stand up when speaking with him. You knew that he was evil. What did you know that he was capable of at the time, and what did you do about it?
Well, it was one of those terrible gut feelings without a lot of actual evidence, that one of the best predictors of future violence is past violence. And he had he wasn't mean to animals. He didn't beat up other kids, and he never broke the law. He had none of the indications that a lot of, so-called psychopaths or antisocial folks will have. But he was so odd, and he had this vague thought of killing people. And that's how he put it. I have thoughts of killing people. But it was so vague. And so I spent the months that I worked with him, 6 sessions total, trying to get him to talk more about that and understand, is he capable is this just a thought of killing people, or is he actually going to plan to go out and do it?
In fact, you were concerned enough that you contacted his mom. You also contacted police. Did you take it any further than that? And looking back, do you wish you had?
Oh, boy. Not only I have looked at the case a million times, but we've had lots of expert consultants take a look to see if there was any thing I could have done different. And they, they all decided that they couldn't think of anything else. And if anything, they thought I'd gone above and beyond. So for instance, about 4 sessions in, I realized I just wasn't getting anywhere with him, but I still had this terrible feeling. So I had a consultant come in and see him with me, thinking maybe he would respond better to a man, and sort of start talking. And that worked a little bit, but not enough for us to get enough information. After his last visit, you're right, I called his mom, even though the consultant and I specifically asked Holmes, would it be okay if we, called a family member or a friend to just, kind of learn more about how you've been doing? And he refused. But when he walked out of my office, I just thought, I have got to find out if he's always been odd and strange like this, or is this a new thing? Is he having a psychotic break? And so I called his mom.
And did she shed any light on some of your concerns?
In talking to her, I felt a little reassured, because it sounded like he was always like a little odd, kind of, very smart, sort of nerdy, a little bit awkward. And so it did not sound like, this, like he'd been a very normal kid and this was a sudden change.
Let me ask you this, because I don't want to run out of time with you, Dr. Fenton. You say you were vilified for your role as his doctor, what you knew, when you knew it, what you may or could have done. We're seeing other cases of people close to mass shooters and criticism that they could have done more, that they should be held accountable. Oxford is one, Highland Park recently, the parade shooting. Should others be held accountable, responsible to some degree for what they knew, spotting red flags 10 years after you were in this situation?
It's very natural for all of us to try to find, ways that this could have been prevented. So we'll sort of latch on and think, the doctor should have known this and prevented it, or, the family member, they should have known. So I think it's totally reasonable for us to look at other folks potentially having some responsibility. And so, if I hadn't missed something, or, not sort of gone above and beyond, then, there were actually potential lawsuits waiting for me and the whole university.
Finally, Dr. Fenton, I only have a couple seconds left, but why now? Why write this book now? And have you had any interaction with James Holmes, his family, or the victims in the massacre in Aurora?
No interaction, since the shooting with any of them. And the reason I decided to write it now is I realized this is a unique case. We have so much information compared to most of the other cases before, during, after the event. And so I hope it just gives us more information and furthers this conversation of how do we prevent these mass shootings.
Well, and that's the same page we all need to be on, even if it means looking into a dark, ugly, and evil past for lessons learned. Dr. Len Fenton, appreciate you coming on tonight. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.